Hi everyone, my name is James Feeney. Welcome to or back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing a tarot deck that I recently received. I believe the name of this deck is called the Tarot de Marseille Revisited, or at least that's what it's titled and listed as on Etsy. It looks like this. We're going to get over to my tarot table in just a second to look at the cards. I'm going to share my thoughts. You're going to see all of the cards. I'll put a sort of timestamp or something that you might fast forward to if you're just looking to see the cards and not have my thoughts on any of them. So go to this time that is here if you'd like to do that. I know in the past I've received comments from people, I guess, that were just looking to see the cards, who were, expressing their displeasure at the fact that I had a lot to say about the cards. Generally, this is not a flip through channel. This is not a deck sharing channel, so expect my thoughts. And to even add to those thoughts today, because this is a majors only deck, I pulled out the major arcana of a more traditional Marseille for the sake of comparison, because that's the kind of thing I like to do. I've had this deck for a few days, but I haven't really looked into it in depth just yet. So this will be a bit of a learning experience and a walkthrough for myself as well. And I know that there's a little bit behind this deck. I have the listing on Etsy pulled up, which I'll have linked down below as well. Essentially, this is a deck by... The Etsy shop is Hello Avada, and the artist or the creator is Jeremy Avada. It also says that it is in collaboration with Mary Yupi, I believe is how the name is pronounced. This is a French creator, so a lot of the content is in French, so it's a little bit, I don't speak French, so I don't understand everything. I know that there's a business card that says Les Eaux Noirs, and I believe that translates to black eyes or a black eye or black eyes in French, but that's not what the deck is listed as. It's listed as the Tarot de Marseille Revisited, so that's what I'm titling this as, or I guess the name of the deck in terms of the title will be that. If that's the actual name of the deck and somebody does know that, please tell me, I guess, but the description doesn't say that that's the name of the deck. I know that there's a conscientious environmental aspect to this deck. It was made in a sustainable way. It came in a linen pouch. There was no plastic involved. It was shipped in one of those thin cardboard sort of like envelopes, I guess you would say is what they are. So there was, no plastic included, very minimal packaging. I know that the cards are more sustainably sourced. I would consider this, although it's an indie deck, to be a little bit more on the affordable side. It's majors only, but it's $35.20 US, and I'm trying to see if that was including shipping. That wasn't including shipping, but I do think for a deck that went to great lengths to be environmentally friendly, that's a pretty good deal. We'll get over to the tarot table now, and I'll start to work our way through the cards. We can talk about them, and that'll be that. All right, everyone, so we're over at the table so that the cards can be viewed. This is what the backs of the decks look like. Of course, this is a majors only deck, so there's only going to be the 22 major arcana here. It says that this deck is based on the Tarot de Marseille, but because of the artistic rendering, I'm guessing it's more of a creative interpretation rather than a redrawing, which you will see quite well in just a moment. According to the website, the cardstock is 350 GSM. For those who are curious about these sorts of things, it has more of a matte quality than anything to it, I would say. Maybe a little bit of like a semi-gloss, perhaps. And if we are comparing it for the sake of size, because I know that's something people do care about as well, it's a little bit bigger than a standard tarot size, both in height and width. For those wanting to know, looks like that. So there we have it. And I guess that covers the dimensions and a lot of the minutiae. I would say it definitely feels like a good quality cardstock. This is essentially everything that came with the deck. It came in a thin cardboard sort of envelope because, of course, the attention to packaging and the environmental aspect. I know there's this piece of paper in French, and that is going to speak a bit about the environmental responsibility or the thought process that went in there. I understand some of it. I don't understand all of it. I don't speak French, but for anybody curious, that's that. And then this, I believe, is the business card, which makes me think that perhaps the name of the deck is, maybe that's just the name of the business or the creative brand of the creator. But this is what the business card looks like. I think the back is really cool. I know this creator on their Etsy shop has an oracle deck as well, which I'm definitely curious to check out. It looks very interesting. I like their artistic style. And then it also came with this linen pouch, which is nice, it's convenient, and of course another thing that I'm guessing is meant to be good for the environment as opposed to like a sleeve or just something that might have non-biodegradable materials. So here we've got the deck. As with a lot of Tarot de Marseille, I have kept it in order. It starts with the Magician rather than the Fool. That's just how things go. And I thought I would bring out a Marseille for the sake of specifically a Noble, for the sake of comparison. Of course, as now you are seeing, it's not meant to be a redrawing. Like I said, it's more of a creative interpretation. From what I can tell, there aren't any people or literal figures present in this deck. At most, you'll get hands, and even the hands are meant to be more fantastical displays rather than the hands of actual humans. So I guess I'll just have this here for the sake of comparison. I'm not sure I'm going to draw too many examples between a more traditional Marseille and this one. I'm sure that there are many out there who wouldn't consider this a Marseille. I'm not sure that I would either, but I can definitely, I know that was an influence for the creator here. So yes, we get the elements. We've got, a sword, which is a dagger here. We've got what appears to be a pentacle or a coin. It kind of looks like a button to me. I'm guessing that this branch is more of the wand, which I think is a more old school or traditional style to do it, a living branch rather than an actual wand or something that's on fire. And then we've got the cup up here, which I think is interesting that it's kind of set apart and aside from the rest. Is that meant to say that, the heart and those emotions, or the suit of cups, is above the rest, separate from the rest? Who knows? And it kind of seems like all of this is taking place in a bubble in the clouds, and that there might be raindrops coming from the cup. There's an eye here. I'm guessing that's supposed to be the indicator of the humanity, or the conduit that is the magician in some cases. And it seems like it's a rain cloud. We're on a rain cloud and it might be raining. There are a lot of eyes in this deck. That's one bit of theme that I have picked up on. It's mostly black and white with pops of color, as you're already seeing in this card here. So that's that. We get the High Priestess, so we get a lot of those core elements there. I do think that there may be some Rider-Waite-Smith influence as well when we see, for example, the upturned crescent moon, which reminds me a bit more of the crown or the headdress of more modern High Priestesses rather than, a popess. We've got the keys. We have a symbol for Venus on here, which I would have expected more on the Empress card, but I guess it can make sense. I'm not 100% sure what this is down here. If anybody knows, you can let me know. And, we have the book. We have a few elements that we might recognize. Then we've got the Empress. So we've got her crown. Both the Emperor and the Empress are depicted by birds. I'm seeing that this one, I think, is a bit more of, a finch or a sparrow of some sort flying through the air. We get, the same symbolism of that crown that we are accustomed to, and even some of the stars, which again I think is more of a modern take on the Empress to have something like the stars present, like her crown in the Rider-Waite-Smith has stars. Another thing is that there is a guidebook for this deck. It doesn't come in hard copy or in paper bound. That was listed as being for environmental reasons, and I've taken a quick peek at the PDF version of the guidebook. It's in French, so I don't understand much of it, and it's a little bit hard to show a PDF on camera, but one does exist. So if you're curious about that and you do speak French or would care to just, copy and paste it for the sake of translation, go for it. It's out there. We've got the Emperor. Looks to be a bald eagle, honestly. We've got, that orb, which mirrors the sort of scepter, the top to the scepter with the cross up here. A crown, which this Emperor is not wearing much of a crown, as the traditional one doesn't, but you can kind of see the symbolism, especially when we compare the two birds, just the ideas there. Next, we've got the Pope, or the Hierophant. So we've got this card here with the keys. Keys, I guess, are a big theme. Keys seem to be more of a theme in more modern renditions of the Hierophant rather than the traditional ones, but I guess we could imagine those to be the depictions of the disciples or the people who are at the feet of the Pope here, and that the hand is perhaps the actual Pope. Of course, it's the same hand gesture that we get with this Pope or Hierophant, and you could see maybe perhaps that's supposed to be a divine power, the above, the higher, coming out of the clouds, more of that rain symbolism. And then we've got these down here. So that's that. The Lover. Still get a lot of the same imagery, the cherub, the Cupid. I'm guessing that these are supposed to be the people present, but then again, if it's a traditional lover, we would probably have 3 birds, because there's supposed to be that idea of, you know, the more masculine figure in the center and the 2 feminine figures on either side. But so this makes me think of a combination between a more modern and traditional rendition. I mean, the name is the same, but you would think we'd have 3 birds, although we do have 3 leaves. So maybe that's really what we're getting at here. And, you know, pop of color in the little cherub's hair. And I like that there are pops of colors. Definitely attracts your eye immediately. So I think maybe those were intentional in where the creator wants you to look. You know, the leaves are green and the hair is yellow, and our eyes are immediately drawn to those points. We've got the Chariot. So the idea of the dark and the light horse are here, but they're more night-looking pieces from a chessboard, which I think is a very interesting interpretation. We've got what appears to be the glyph for the sun, and that's where the pop of color is then added. They're attached to a cloud. Perhaps the cloud is supposed to be the chariot and the driving force. We could see the liquid here too. The raindrop over the white one is white, and the one that's over the darker horse is black. And yeah, just very interesting interpretation. And the fact that we have the glyph for the sun, and that's more on Earth, and then it seems that the rays peeking out from behind the cloud might be rays of light. Maybe the sun is covered by the cloud. So maybe there's some sort of symbolism or imagery coming in that regard. So you can see some comparison or some similarities there. Those eyes that are a bit of a theme. The Eye of Justice happens to be yellow here. We've got the sword and the scales, so both of those more traditional elements are still here. We've got some interesting greenery. This is taking place in front of a really big cloud, it seems. There's a teardrop falling, and then it seems on one side of the scale, although there's nothing on, it seems like on either of the scales, there are drops of the same liquid, so, you know, and it seems like the scales are almost equal, but the one that has the drops pouring out of it is a little bit lower, or perhaps a little bit heavier. The Hermit, we see the symbolism. I think the snake is a more modern, esoteric addition, so yes, another more modern take there. Pop of color, of course, with the lantern, and again with the leaves, which seem to be another running theme, and we've got black leaves and green leaves and a darker moon, so there's a lot we can, you know, read into this, but we get some of that symbolism. And then the hand again. We've got the Wheel of Fortune, so we see the wheel. It seems like there is I want to say it's a possum on the lower end of the wheel here, but that's the only living creature that's then attached, so we don't see the fixed signs, or I'm not even sure if it would be the fixed signs. That would be something we would see in the Rider-Waite-Smith, but we don't see the full evolution of this creature or the king who falls or what have you. We do get the crown at the top, which I guess could be much like this little guy with the crown here. At the center we've got an eye. We've also got maybe small glyphs of the sun, maybe not, maybe just dots, and then a couple other things going on. Another revival of the cup motif from perhaps the Magician card, who knows. Force, so because there are no actual figures present, I guess the lion is the main focal point here, so it's not being opened or manhandled or anything like that. We get the lemniscate or the infinity symbol up top, which, you know, is a little bit more of a new addition. I guess you could, I forget if Type 2 Marseille even have the hat that starts to go in that direction, but of course this is a Type 1 Marseille, and you see it doesn't really quite make that. That wasn't an intentional thing at the offset. So that's, I guess, a new addition or a more esoteric Rider-Waite-Smith-esque flair, pop of color on the lion itself. I'm wondering if these little branches, which we've seen a couple of, are laurels, perhaps. Maybe there's some symbolism there, and a different type of leaf. And these rays coming from behind the lion, maybe perhaps it's the sun shining from behind. We get the Hanged Man as a bat, which is something we see in a lot of more modern decks. People love to make the Hanged Man a bat. I think it's very fitting, it works, and it's really pretty and natural. Looks like there's some duality in playing with the idea of the light and the dark, or at least the shadow and where the light might be coming from. We see that really highlighted at more towards the tips of the wings. Pretty simple and straightforward. We get the idea. All right, death. This death seems a little bit more theatrical, dramatic, excited. I personally like it. I think it's a cool take. We get some of the plant matter still here. We have the same scythe. Both the plants and the head of the scythe seem to be the color pops, and it's very much a beheaded or a skeleton with its head detached, and it's dancing, and looks like there might be some bones coming up. So yeah, very interesting. Apologies for any sound going on. There's some stuff going on in the house today. Can't really be avoided. So next we've got Temperance. We get the idea of the vases, the pouring. Of course, there's some differences, but we get the idea here, and we get that upward facing triangle, which is something that, again, is a little bit more esoteric. Rider-Waite-Smith, the glyph for fire, perhaps. We know it's attached to Sagittarius. Some of those more laurel-like branches and leaves with the black and the white. We've got the hands coming from the sky, another reprise of that dark crescent moon, and the dark droplets of liquid. Perhaps those are more symbolic of blood, but the creator hasn't used, it seems like, any red thus far in the deck, so who knows. The devil. This one diverges a bit further because, we don't have the idea of the two creatures and the singular creature in the center, but we do get this really interesting flesh-colored, perhaps, hand. Doesn't appear to be human, although these could be really nice, gel or acrylic manicured nails, but given the coarse hair coming quite off and sticking out off of the hand, I'm guessing they're more claw-like and natural than they are meant to be artificial nails. It appears that, the devil's a large force that is a puppeteer. We've got, the little marionette there, some stars in the sky, even the stars, so maybe even fate is controlled because they're attached to strings. And then, the idea of the riches. We've got a sword and a cup, so what is that? Maybe it's like a heart and mind sort of debacle we've got going down. Then we've got the tower, or the house of God. This one is, actually, I think this one is a little bit more traditional, or some traditional takes where we have, the lightning striking the tree. So that's a really, I kind of like when they take that route, or when creators choose to take that route. We've got, a rainstorm, lightning, the tree's cut in half, the pop of yellow, really pretty. Enjoy it. The star, so we have those eyes, we have the stars in the sky mirroring more traditional. Of course, we don't have the figure. We do have the vases, but they're not pouring anything. If anything, it looks like they're pouring something up, maybe some gold elixir spilling out. Some of the eyes closer to the vases are closed, or on the corners, I should say, and then we've got 3 open eyes. Much to read into there, potentially, if you were to choose to. The moon, and we've kind of got 2 moons going on, one in the right corner with that pop of blue, one taking center stage that's black and white or gradient, and we've got the crab up in the corner. So we still have some sort of crustacean, although maybe it's not the traditional one. Definitely gives off more of a Cancer feeling or vibe, which wouldn't as much be associated with the moon, but who knows. A little swirl. Yeah, so we see some similarities, but it's quite, it's diverged far enough from the traditional. The sun with its third eye open and standard eyes are closed. Pops of color chosen very strategically. And then, of course, no figures present as usual, but instead of a wall, we've got more of a village on a mountain or perhaps a castle. Very interesting. Judgment. I think this one might be one of my favorites. I like this sort of grandiose hand of God or divine power coming out of the sky, and we do see the element of the trumpet. We've got an eye on the hand, which I just think is kind of cool. We've got some of those drops flowing up, some flowing down. I'm thinking that that's more, well, I mean, we see some of these ideas of droplets going up or down or just present in a more traditional sense, but it seems like whenever we see those yellow drops in this deck, they're flowing up. The dark ones tend to be flowing down, so maybe there's something more to that. Then we've got the world, so the idea of that circular nature, another eye present, a really big one. We have the glyphs of the various elements, and it seems like maybe that's, I guess we do get some zodiacal aspects, or, well, we've got Venus here again for some reason, and then we also have those squiggles, which I was tempted to think were Aquarius and that we were getting all the fixed signs, but it's missing one little line in that squiggle, and it doesn't seem like we've got symbols for other things. I was thinking perhaps even the moon could be referring in some way, shape, or form to Taurus, who knew, but it doesn't seem like it. And then, of course, the circles and Ouroboros, that completion. All of these seem to be taking place in the sky. We've got clouds. And last, but certainly not least, we've got the Fool. And so with this one, I like the idea that we've got going on here. The Fool is almost like he has stepped away for a moment. Some of these like old school ideas of fools, being traveling storytellers and musicians and needing to kind of have these tools of their trade alongside them. So maybe he plays, the lyre or something like that. A walking stick, which we could connote with the idea of the wand suit, given that we've seen some cups and swords that seem to be strategically placed. We've got his little satchel or bag up at the top there, just left sort of haphazardly, but it seems like, the instrument, the string instrument, is the focal point given the pop of color. Bird in the sky, which I think, we can maybe draw parallels between that and maybe more modern fools, actually, but very pretty card nonetheless. So that about takes us through all of the cards. I'd love to know any of your thoughts if this is a deck that's of interest. If anybody out there likes Majors Only decks, because I don't have many, but this one's art did appeal to me, so I chose to go for it. And I guess now that we've flipped through the cards, we can give them a bit of a shuffle and just lay out a few to see what they look like. Given that this is a smaller deck, I'm thinking riffle shuffling is not the way to go or as much of a possibility, so it's going to be hand over hand. But they do seem to shuffle well. That fabulous death. The Emperor. And the Chariot. So that's how they look, all aligned. I like how the pops of color can perhaps lead one through. It seems like yellows and greens tend to be the pops of color that are chosen. Maybe there's some blue no, I mean, we get occasional, but it's mostly blue and green, it seems like. Maybe some warmer tones, like this one's more of an orangey red, but I think they look great next to each other. There's a sort of simplicity. The line work is very clear cut, and it has sort of just a very distinct feeling to it that I think is mirrored on the backs by the artwork there. I can imagine using this for smaller readings, perhaps even with clients if the reading size or the duration of the reading is shorter and we really want to focus on some big points. I think Majors Only can be a wonderful way to navigate larger themes without a lot of fluff and fuss. So depending on what you're looking for, I have found myself turning to Majors Only for certain inquiries, and especially when time is of the essence and I really just want to get punchy and highlight certain points. I can imagine this being something that people can relate to as well. It's kind of detached from humanity in a way that I appreciate. I am definitely a fan of seeing decks where either we don't have humans at all, or the figures and beings that are present are not very human-like, at least not in a realistic sense. So this is right up my alley, and I think I can definitely see myself reading this and getting different sorts of perhaps messages and interpretations because of the artistic renderings we've got going on. I hope you are all well. Like and subscribe if this was fun or interesting, and without further ado, I'll get into a more quick and easy flip through for those who are just here for that purpose.